Hello guys, this is Otsod, and well, we have basically a new month, a new week, a very beautiful and fruitful price action on Bitcoin. I'm looking at the weekly chart of Bitcoin, Bitstamp, and yeah, I've said it before, basically, technically, the bear market is not ending until, for me personally, until I see a break of a price going and closing above this level. So why am I saying this? Because that's the beginning of last year, and price went all the way down, as we talked about before, until the S1, the yearly S1, and this could be a retrace. Technically, this still is possible. So this can be a retrace, and then we will see price continuing its decline. I am not inclined into this scenario. I am seeing much more bullishness here than probability than resume of the bear market. But technically, until this fib, this 0.618 price does not close above it and above the yearly R1, although price is now already made it above the yearly pivot, which is bullish, and broke outside of the cloud, which is bullish, but you see that there's no continuation of the Kumu break. So this cloud break, still there's no continuation. This week can mark the beginning of the continuation and the beginning of the real Kumu break playing out. So eyes on this. This can go ballistic, parabolic, call it what you will. This can show some crazy price behavior here. So, but still, until this weekly does not close above the R1, which was, you see here, it was the fib, the 0.618, and the R1 on this week and on this week, on the weekly, have shown huge rejection on both candles. So I'd like to see a candle closing, a weekly candle, even two closing above this level, and then officially this is bull again in my book. Until then, there is still a probability, I don't know if to call it high probability. I wouldn't say it's a high probability at this point. Of course, you can also see price going up to the same level as last year, 2 years ago actually, and making a double top. That's also a possibility. But I'm more inclined into continuation of a bullish trend and a price exploration, finding new highs. But until this happens, then in my book this scenario is still valid. However, on the weekly, what we see currently is something that two things that I've been looking at. We see a lot of times that when price is rallying up and until it is able to break the Kumu, it is exhausted. The bulls are exhausted. So this is what we saw here. And then we saw price putting back to this fib, which is the 0.382 at the 9,400 level. I will show in a moment why on the daily it was also a very important level. But so we saw this pullback, and now we are seeing that this week price is closing above this mean dynamic support resistance, which is a very healthy and good sign. We had a close here before, but it failed. So I'm thinking that now it regained enough strength. Sellers did their thing, and we'll see. I'm still expecting here maybe a local top, and we have to see what's happening here on this descending flag. But let's see. what happens here. Still, the Kumo continuation, break continuation, which I'm seeing here, and a break above the this level of the mean dynamic support resistance are very important and a very bullish sign. But still, let's see. What I'm not completely convinced is about the volume here of those last 2 weeks, mainly this bullish action. But yeah, we started on lower volume, so, and sometimes volume is not that significant, it will join up later. So going to the daily, this is why the 9,400 was a very important level. So price went down, checked this level, the daily candle closed on it and then bounced, and then there was another check of this level of this dynamic support resistance, mean dynamic support resistance on the daily, and you can see that it held very, very strongly and price bounced off it. Then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 straight green candles, daily bullish candles. Today's candle is also significant, not only because it's taking the weekly, as I showed before, and breaking above the dynamic support resistance. It's also breaking above the cloud. There's a Kumu daily break here that is significant. I still, looking at this barrier here, it can be another local top, and who knows, maybe price would fail or even continue down. I'm looking at a couple of high probability scenarios here. At this point, price can bounce here, go back and check the 0.5 fib, which is 11,350 around, and check it, and then make another. As I said, many times you will see the bulls, when the Kumu break happens, the bulls are already exhausted. So we'll have a look at the RSI here, and the RSI is actually telling us no, there's quite a lot of place to bounce, to continue here for continuation, but we have to see. Another high probability scenario that I'm looking at is a check back to the pivot, checking the monthly pivot. We have a new monthly pivot. Price closed above it. 2 days ago it was a very good signal, but maybe price wants to top here and to check this level again before clearing this descending flag. But of course there is the possibility that price simply does this and continues and breaking this level here, clearing this level that I mentioned before, which is what I'm looking at as a confirmation of the that the bear scenario is not on the table anymore. So we have here new monthly pivots. We got them 4 days ago. It's looking good. Price is above the pivot. It's a bullish signal. The R1, the first target, would be on this 12,500. The R2 would be 15,000, around 50,000. So we'll have to look at this, if this is playing out. I'm still keeping in mind that there can be here also simply consolidation, continuation of this wave chop that we had, or even going further down to test the lower bands of the flag, descending trend line. Yeah, price can do anything. We just need to follow it to the best that we can. But still, this is looking very bullish. Maybe there's even a break of the of this flag and a check of the R1, and then going back to check the flag and bouncing off it when this continues. Let's have a look at the 4 hours. So this is the 4 hours. What are we having here? We see that we are very close. We see that we are starting to get here some maybe exhaustion, maybe not. We'll have to see what happens today, but I'm thinking it will not be bad. I'd prefer to see price resting here, you know, maybe even going back to the 0.5 as I said before, and then consolidating a bit, making a base before it's breaking the flag. This is looking good. There's nothing much here to say. We have new weekly pivots. So we have here this. This is the pivot way below already, and we are above R1. Let's see what the pivots offer us. We have the R2 here at 12,200, the R3 here at 13,300. Yeah. And if this is an especially bullish week, then we will reach the R5, which is at 15,500, and maybe even check this out, this 0.786 at 16,000. So who knows? But I'm thinking maybe some cool off here would not be bad, and maybe this is what the market wants to do. We also have to take into consideration the beginning of this week, when the traditional markets, financial markets, are showing signs of weakness and going down, while we see Bitcoin going up. This is a very, very good sign. If Bitcoin becomes more of a hedge to traditional financial markets, that is what I'm hoping to see, because this will provide the so-called fundamental explanation to the possible explosion in Bitcoin price to the levels which are discussed at the 50,000, 250,000, and you know, the dreamers are talking about 1 million. But why not? Everything is possible. So I'm happy to see that actually Bitcoin is going up while the markets are going down, doing the same thing as gold doing. That's great. Just Bitcoin is doing much more than gold. The gold bugs still are very connected to gold. Traditional markets are still very much counting on gold as hedge, but there is more and more movement towards the crypto market. Alts at this point, I'm not seeing anything extremely attractive, but we'll have to see how they react, if Bitcoin indeed is making a cool-off here, if they are trying to catch up. But yeah, I think they're just displaying mainly weakness against Bitcoin while Bitcoin is doing its thing. That's about it. We'll see what the week offers, what kind of price action. I would like to mention as well that I have here, I've published it in the group that I'm a part of, but I've created this thing which is called OMAR, O-M-A-R. It is a script that I stole from Madrid moving average ribbon. But what I did with it is making it an optimal moving average ribbon. I have this script that calculates all the time the optimal strategy for EMA trading. What are the optimal EMAs? And for example, when it comes to the 4-hour EMAs, these are the optimal, the ones that bring the most profit since the beginning of 2015. So you can check this out. These are the 5 optimal numbers. Currently, these are continuously recalculated and they change in values through time. So I will update this script. but for now these are the ones, and just as an example, the 44 EMA in the 4 hours returned around 12,000% since the beginning of 2015, while the just holding Bitcoin from the beginning of 2015 would give you in today's values a return of around 4,000%. So you can see that these are much powerful EMAs. The strategy is basically when price breaks above the ribbon, you go long, break below it, you go short. But I prefer and recommend to wait for the cross when you see that, like here. So this provided a very good entry at what was it, 10,000, and to go long on this wave, last wave. And here, around here, let's say it provided a very good entry for short at 11,300, and you could have gone with it to the pivot, or just hold until the cross here, which is still would be profitable. So if you want to use this script, it's called Omar, and yeah, I will be updating it. Check it out at TradingView on my account Rotzeot. And that's it, guys. So have a very good week. Till next time.